Hello and good evening. It is time for our next installment of Enterprise at 8 here on Live Long and Podcast here for this Monday, February 20th, 2023. I'm Dave Mader, and we're here to cover the next installment of Star Trek Enterprise, The Shipment, Season 3, Episode 7. It's been nearly 20 years since this episode came out. Oh, no.
Years.
What happened?
20 years?
Yeah, but oh, no. Did my hotkey go away? What happened here, guys?
Oh my God, Dave!
I don't know what's going on.
Of all the ones you should have been ready for.
I know. I'm the one doing the intro, but and we lost Adam's audio only for the moment. Okay, but hey, here's a guy who just wants to ask some questions. We got Kevin Millard.
Hello. I don't know what is going on.
I'm not ready for this, guys. Which I blame Jody mostly. Where's Adam gone? He keeps disappearing and coming back.
I'm not sure. There, I'm here.
Wait, but that's
that.
Well,
there's definite weirdness going on with that.
There's some Zindi hijinks, I think, here, causing some technical difficulties. Yeah, so we're talking about The Shipment from October 29th, 2003, on this Zindi crisis continuing through season 3. We got all these clues in the last episode, which was and Adam Woodward's here, by the way. I was trying to introduce you, but
thank you.
You kept disappearing on us.
Uh-huh.
Guys, what did you think of The Shipment?
It was good. It's no zombie Vulcans, but it was good.
It's no zombie Vulcans. I agree with you, Adam. How did you feel about this one? I was told it was going to be great.
Great. Who said great?
Davan really sold this one. He was like, "Wait till you get to The Shipment, then you're going to get it."
I think it was okay. It was a good bridge episode. I think it was a nice resolution tonight as far as Archer's anger. I think you realized that not everybody's to blame. But that was about it.
That seems like something that humanity would have had to have overcome after World War III anyway, right? This idea that maybe not everybody who's on another side is necessarily your enemy or somebody you need to...
Well, I think that's very, honestly, Federation Starfleet, they should have that going. I mean, I would have hoped that they would have gone into space thinking that not everybody's to blame. You can't kill, there's no genocide. You don't kill a whole race for it.
Or blame an entire race for it, or for, and as we find out that this Zindi main character here, this, what's his name? Greylick?
Yes.
Greylick here. He's the Zindi arboreal character we come to know quite a bit in this episode. He's only selling the chemo site that they're using to make the weapons of mass destruction, Kevin. It's not, his fault what they do with it. It could be you could use it to make nice things too.
Yes. I actually like that they set up that not all the Zindi are evil here. That they've just got their own sort of rogue admirals going off to kill other races.
That's a good segue too, because the rogue admirals, the Council of Doom, as we know it, is meeting once again to talk about their Zindi weapon that they're going to use to destroy Earth. That's the plan. The 7 million was just scratching the surface. They're coming back for all several billion of us, I imagine. And we see here there were Zindi reptilians talking to the Zindi primate, who we come to know is Degra. And that's kind of like the real tease of the episode. It's just now the weapon's almost getting there, and now
it was a really quick intro too. I mean, that was 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's like Council Doom. Remember the Zindi? We're coming. We might have did this Beauty and the Beast story last week. Forget it. We're back on. The threat is real. So
yeah, I feel like last week's episode I kind of like better now.
Well, because they gave us that previously on. I didn't do screenshots of the previously on, but last week's episode, it makes it seem like a lot more important. Exile. That it's like, guess what? Last week on Exile, Hoshi met this Quasimodo character, and now he's in the mix. Oh, well, coming in is our host here with the most fashionably late. We got Jody Simpson. well, he's with us. You know,
he'll be in a second.
Yeah.
All right, there I am.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
Sorry for being late.
Well, we were just getting into it. No worries, and we're just.
I didn't write an intro, so
that's good. But what would you have said?
What would I have said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're just talking about how on the previously on in the episode before the exile, they're like, guess what? Hoshi met Quasimodo, and he found out something with his telepathy about the Xindi weapon, and that was like the breadcrumb that they're following now to this episode. Very important, the shipment with the Xindi arboreals who are selling the chemosite or chemosite, depending on how you want to pronounce it, to the council.
They call it chemosite in the thing, don't they?
They did.
Yeah,
they did. Yes, chemosite.
Okay. Well,
there is only one way to say it, Dave.
I've heard chemosite before. I'm saying it's
well, you didn't hear it in the episode because that's not what they said.
I have a fun fact around that. You may have heard it somewhere else.
I know it's from the episode Little Green Men. The chemosite, and it was in the shuttle that that Quark got from Quark's treasure that they used to go back in time.
There you go.
Yeah. In Star Trek Online, you can get chemosite laced weaponry. It's very effective. As a thing. Actually, Kevin's character has it installed on his guy, and I use that sometimes. I go chemosite.
It's funny. I have an account, but I'm never invited. I don't know.
Just find me online, Jody. We'll make a task force.
All right,
Jody. So we're just
chemosite.
Chemosite, Star Trek Enterprise, the shipment. So just what was your take on the episode, Jody?
I thought it was a good follow-up to last week's. I think it's a nice way of kind of getting us more of a serialized type. A more linear storyline. This whole jumping back and forth thing that they've been doing in the first couple episodes were kind of silly. So it's kind of nice to get a continuation.
We don't need 26 episodes to tell this story. We only need 18. So
they've clearly told you that. That's the reason why there's extra episodes.
Right. Exactly. So very short intro, just the Degra and the Xindi Reptilian. They're getting close. They just need a little bit more chemosite or chemosite.
Mm-hmm.
And here we go. At Enterprise, they're on the hunt. They're in the command center. They're talking. It's Archer. It's DePaul.
It's a lot of time in here now. Where did they go before for all these meetings?
Well, they didn't have one, so they never had meetings.
This is the command center.
This is the command center, Adam.
They never needed to have meetings. It was all just
right.
Water polo and fun.
It's water polo and the occasional, guy getting pinned to the hull by an asteroid or by a.
It would just be a meeting room or a standard conference room, except it's got a lot more screens that they can, otherwise.
It's got a big one too.
Yeah.
And some controls here and there.
Look at all them controls, man. That's a control center right there.
It's like a battle bridge, man. Almost,
This is essentially a battle bridge. That's really what it is.
Well, that's often criticized with the Star Trek ship design. The fact that they put the bridge at the top is considered to be tactically pretty dumb. That you would probably want your bridge to be in the middle of the ship and not, have a big window into space and etc. But it was done for also for show reasons to give a sense of scale for how big the bridge is compared to the rest of the ship.
But unfortunately, even that they had a battle bridge, we never really got to see too much of it. Unfortunately,
in Next Gen we saw it in 3 episodes maybe.
Yeah, I think after Best of Both Worlds, you don't see it used too often after that. But so season 4, right?
Yeah. In which movie it was?
First Contact. Oh no, actually the original.
In Generations?
Generations, because they crashed the ship, right?
Yeah.
They crashed the saucer section. Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting that in TNG with that saucer separation, they set that up in the first episode and then barely ever use it.
Yeah. It only came up twice in the entire series after that. Yeah.
And if you remember that scene, it was almost as bad as the motion picture, when they were separating.
Oh yeah.
It took forever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
you could practically see somebody's hands going
Well, that's the Roddenberry of things, but
they started that after a commercial break, and then they finished that whole scene.
Yeah, they're like, hey, there's a lot more ship to see. Wait till you see the pylons. All right, so
and the holodeck, of course.
The episode also starts off here with Archer and Major Hayes and Reed heading down to this planet to find out, what's going on down here. They're able to disguise themselves to look like a meteor coming, like they're burning up.
And Major Hayes is back, by the way. Nice
Major Hayes, you know.
Yeah, we see him probably 3 or 4 more times. He's he's a fairly reoccurring character in the season.
Yeah, they bring him along. It's him and and so this episode written by Chris Block and Brent V. Friedman and directed by David Straden, who also had directed previously the other episode we liked this season so far. He directed Anomaly, which we were kind of
that was a good one.
And we liked the first one, the Zindi, too. But we've had about 4 weeks now where we've been like, well, this episode we've been mixed, let's say at best, on these last 4 weeks.
Jody, I got to tell you, I said it to the guys before you came in. I did like this. I like last week's better now. Like last week's episode better after watching this episode.
Well, especially when you realize what actually was important in last week's episode, right?
Yeah.
Like for them to find this facility is actually pretty useful in the search, right? So.
Yeah, it wasn't there. There was a conversation, Dave, at the beginning, I think, with Malcolm, of course, saying, "Why are we listening to that guy for?" You know.
Yeah.
We're gonna go with Hoshi's
telepathic friend,
creepy telepathic friend who was trying to get her to stay forever. But he's like, it's all we got, man. We're out here in the expanse. We got nothing but our wits and binoculars, and we gotta go through here. And so they find the facility where they're making the chemosite. We see that what species is that? It's one of the other ones. We come to know these are the Zindi arboreals, who are kind of like the sloths.
Well, that gets to the last scene in the episode, which obviously we're going to eventually cover. But I like the fact that he said to him, like, not all Zindi, like, you should be worried about all Zindi. Like, it's
some are worse. He's like, some are worse than others, or
some are worse than others. That kind of thing. So
we see here that Archer calls up to the ship at one point to say that they're going to keep scouting out things, try to find their way in. They kind of cut their way into the tunnels using the phase pistols. They find their way into the facility. It's not high security here on arboreal land.
It doesn't need to be. Like, it's essentially just a chemical plant. Like, that's really what it is. It's not like, and as he said, there's other uses for this material. It's not just like a war weapon. It's
but it can be. It's kind of like selling. It's like selling fertilizer, maybe, that can be made into bombs.
Yeah, but I don't. When I go to Home Depot, there isn't a guy sitting there with like a gun and checking my credentials to buy fertilizer. So it's fine.
So how many Zindi have they actually seen now, physically seen? You've seen, we've got insectoids, we've seen arboreals, and
he met the primate. The first one, he meets a primate.
He meets the primate. He's seen the insect ones. He's seen the reptilian ones.
He hasn't seen the aquatics. No one's seen the aquatics yet.
Well, no, because trying to cart them around might be a problem.
Yeah,
but
they find the chemosite and they're like, this is definitely was used in the weapon on Earth. So they know that this is like an important place. But these like Zindi arboreal scientist guys with their fun belts.
So Dave, what do you think about these uniforms?
Oh,
I don't know.
Get him started.
Why even need one belt with a jumpsuit, let alone 3?
3, yeah.
Right?
I was curious about.
They're utility belts.
No, I feel like there's something going on with their anatomy. I don't know if I want to get too deep into it. So it's like
maybe it's just strap in their like massive package.
Maybe I don't know.
It's like their head can just split apart too.
This is our first shot of a guy who plays this character. The
he's definitely been in Star Trek before.
Yeah, I'm sorry
because I recognize his voice.
This character's name is Graylick Durr. And he's played by Jonathan Cawthon Jr. John Cawthon Jr. Sorry, who's been in a bunch of different stuff. Yeah, I've seen him in Star Trek Borg. He was in the video game Star Trek Borg. He was the Doctor. That's where I know him from. Yeah, he's a good actor. Anyway, so he's doing his thing. He's like, get the chemosite going. We see Archer and Hayes and Reed are hiding in the shadows of this place. And he kind of notices something's been moved, but Graylick doesn't put it together that Archer had moved it or moved the canister of the chemosite. So he leaves and they manage to beam it up to the ship and they start testing it out and the reconnaissance follows. They follow Graylick home. And while he's pouring a drink, they come in on him and take him hostage. And this will become the great conundrum for Archer, his great moral code, because I think Hayes and Reed are like, we're at war, man. We got to kill this guy and move on, whatever. Like, that's the mission. But Archer's not looking to necessarily.
That's what I was thinking too. Planet of the Apes. That's good.
Yeah. Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius.
Yes, it did have a very Planet of the Apes feel when they were in his house.
All right, but he calls him an ape. He's like, yeah, he's like you, ape-like, you know, with the Zindi primates being the closest to humans of the 5 species. You know, so the arboreals are something a little different than they're mammals, but they're kind of a different biology than probably the primates do. They got the big fingernails, kind of almost like the Noblians. You know, but we get to kind of meet.
Noblians got some whack fingernails.
Yeah,
or toenails.
Toenails. Yeah, they can climb up here. But Archer's like, I want some questions. And we see this is Jack Bauer Archer. He's doing it up. You know, he wants to know you give me answers. I need to know. 7 billion people are dead. You know? And
the guy's like, I just work here.
I never even heard of your planet. I don't know what you're talking about. You know? I don't know you or any of this. Which is a really interesting conundrum here as this.
And Archer's I think he's just realizing, okay, crap, they aren't all bad. You know,
well, he doesn't even know if he can trust this. What he's saying is true, but he's starting to really suspect. So I think, you know, he's like, but what is the deal here? He's like, well, do you know that this stuff? Because Tucker calls down to Archer and says, yeah, this stuff was used to attack Earth. Like it came from this facility. So, Greylock he knows it. He knows he's complicit, indirectly, because he's selling this material that can be used to make weapons. So he does have a certain moral obligation as the seller of that product, perhaps. You know, I think is what's.
I did like the bit with the gun though, with the gun that they retrieved and the
Zindi gun, the Zindi reptilian gun,
where it's got the little worm things in it,
little sluggos.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that was neat. Yeah, that's coming up here a little bit in the episode. I think this one, this guy wants to go use the bathroom at one point, Greylock, and Major Hayes like, no, man, you can't go to the bathroom. You have to do what I say, you can't go to your study. That's what he wants, to go to the library and read. And he's like, no, you can't. Archer shows up, and Archer continues this dialogue, and I think that coming, he's like, here's the piece of the probe. This kid,
Dave, he's broken into the guy's house. He's taken him at a very vulnerable place.
Mm-hmm.
And there was also that conversation too, where Archer goes, you know what? I can't. I think he said basically he was talking about, I can't hold everybody responsible for this.
Right.
He's come to the realization finally, which is great because that finally got that edge off. We've had now for how many weeks with Archer?
Yeah. About 8 or 9 episodes. Yeah. So.
He said it wasn't these inhabitants or these people that attacked Earth. I'm sure not going to make them pay for it.
Yeah, and I also like that he said too. He goes, if we go in here and kill everybody and blow this whole place up, then we're complicit. This is going to be our first their first reaction to us in this world today.
Yeah.
This, if we go
we control that. We can control how this plays out. We have choices to make here.
Yeah.
But
the perception's important. I think he's finally understood that. If he goes today and blows up this planet or blows up the plant, that perception. Now the leaders have got something to work with, man. Look at these evil humans.
He's confirmed their fears.
In most wars, you don't have you don't get a lot of decision making, whereas Archer in this particular war or conflict has a lot more determination of how all this is going to play out. And I think he knows that. I think he's like, my choices can lead to interstellar war, genocide, or intergalactic peace, perhaps. And
it only took 5 episodes to learn that.
No, but yeah, exactly. He's now finally got to this point because I think he's just been angry at Archer for 3 years, honestly. But
angrier. He throws Greylock hair against the wall. He's like, you listen to me. He's coming out. Okay, here, Jody. Here's your scene with the where they start taking apart the Zindi weapon that they got a couple episodes ago.
I also like the fact that Phlox is part of this because it would make sense considering he's about the only person who would understand the biology aspect of things.
Well, yeah, and we find out that this weapon
they don't really have too many biologists on this ship, so
it's bioneural technology. It's very advanced technology, and we see that these little slugs are growing on inside. It's like the power cells, or almost, of the weapon. Is this the same weapon that spit out those acid things, You know,
I don't think so, because that was a blunt, like it was a blunt end. It wasn't like a streamlined kind of thing like this one.
Okay.
So I'm
Yeah, we
guessing
see
it's
here-
different, but you know, it's all part of the same stuff, right? So I'm guessing it's based on something like that as well.
And he even pulls the little slug out of the gun, and
And then like a new one just shows up.
yeah, a new one just grows back. We
Whoop.
see that they can they can reproduce, and the mystery continues here. We started learning here from Greylick about the Zindi War, the fact that that they destroyed their own planet basically in their civil war between the six species. He talks about the avians, who were the bird Zindi, I guess, and were also a sentient race, and they died in that war, but the other 5 species managed to escape the planet that they had found blown to bits. And I think Greylick explains that it was the Zindi reptilians and the insectoids who are definitely the heel faction of the Zindi.
Yeah.
Were the ones who really used the weapon that ultimately led to that destruction of their planet. So the Zindi kind of got all scattered out.
Yeah.
It's interesting how the Zindi, despite this huge civil war that they had with each other, also are kind of united, as a people, despite that they're 5 biological races, that are very distinct. That they definitely do.
Well,
seem
I
to
don't
have...
think we really have seen anything like that in Star Trek even since. Generally it's like 1 or 2 kind of variants of the same species, but we don't get a lot of the as far as we can tell, there was at least 6 or 7 different Zindis at one point.
There were 6. The
6?
5 we know, and then the bird ones,
the bird ones,
the avians, who are no longer there. But there's not even much of examples in Star Trek of even 2 species coming from the same planet, let alone 5. So this was a really cool, different idea that they were really throwing out here, and I think it still is. It really holds up still as an interesting science fiction arc to do. I think it was really smart, and it really kind of brought me back into the show, going, oh, okay, this is interesting what they're doing. They're doing some interesting Star Trek things. They're putting some new ideas, interesting storylines.
Until next week.
Let's just focus on this week.
All right.
Yeah. I don't even know about next week yet, Jody. I'm focused.
Yeah. Next week's an interesting episode, but it's a replay of another episode. So.
Yeah, and then we see here that Degra shows up with the Zindi reptilians, while Archer is checking them out with his spy binoculars, along with Reed.
Yeah, why are those lenses so damn close together?
Yeah, your eyes aren't even that close together. Right?
I think they're supposed to be kind of like the night vision type goggles, because night vision goggles, actually the lenses are generally really close. Because it takes two images and kind of offsets
they're
them together.
more advanced. That's why.
Yeah. So I guess maybe that's kind of the thought process, but it's still stupid to look at.
Yeah. And we see the different. We see a bunch of different Zindi here. We see the primate. We see the reptilian. The 2 arboreals here. They're all shaking hands. They're coming up here. And then there's a scene here with Trip and Phlox in sickbay where they're checking out the biological gun, and he's like, "Yeah, if you use delta radiation, you can kill these things, these sluggo things."
And that's actually one thing I like about this episode, is the fact that both the A and B plots are actually both interesting enough that I want to watch them both. Yeah, but usually in this show, one of them is bad.
But the B plot though is not overwhelming either. It's just enough.
It's enough. It's enough to be a B plot.
Yeah. I think that this is a good example of something like, okay, we're learning more about the Zindi and how the stuff works. This is setting up for a later episode. D Space Nine didn't even do this quite stuff as much. They had ongoing story arcs with characters, but not as much with these little details of things, a mystery perhaps. Anyway, and so we also find out that Omicron radiation, they like that a lot. That made them reproduce even more and thrive. So you got to be careful what kind of radiation bandwidths you're using.
What are kind of passive they use for that?
Those look like big rigatonis.
Rigatoni, yeah, probably.
Yeah. All right, and then moving back here.
Overcooked.
What's this guy's name again?
Starts with a D.
Greylick.
No,
Greylick.
Greylick.
Greylick. Yeah, he's talking more to Greylick, and he's like, "Will you trust me? I will help you. I'll help like get this chemocyte poison so they can't be used to make weapons." And we see even like the guys show up to find Art, them here, and they make him kind of be quiet. They don't
go
trust
back.
him.
Go back. One more. Look at that phase pistol. Oh,
That's
sorry. I always got to get a good look.
That's his James Bond right there.
That's a good James Bond right there, actually.
That's
Yeah.
like his Magnum PI, I think. Really, like.
Oh yeah. Put a mustache on it.
That's his John Wick face right there.
Yeah, he's like, "Don't you move? Don't you make a
He's
sound?"
like, he's like, you killed 7 million people and my puppy.
Polo, water
polo. Best game in the world.
Codename Polo. Water polo.
Yeah, and how come they were like this planet didn't even look cold, but they were wearing the jackets. But then when they dropped Hoshi off on the snow planet in the mountains, no jackets. It made no sense. But
well, he needed a jacket in this one to hide the chemocyte in it.
Oh right, yeah,
That's right.
You're right. He did.
How are you going to smuggle that out, Dave? Come on.
Exactly. So our Trip wants to do a weapons test on the Zindi weapon.
Honestly, who thought of this setup here? All right, go back. Come on. Come on. We all think it. Come on now.
Well, it's just what are you saying? It's just a plate of geranium with some force field emitters.
All right, let's move on. Look
All
at
right.
Adam's face. Adam knows. Adam's down. He gets it.
Just go on.
Kevin definitely gets it. Dave's like, what does this
Jody.
look like?
Anyway, so she's like, "Hey, like we don't know what this weapon will do. We shouldn't do this test here in the ship. Maybe we should find an asteroid somewhere." He's like, "Listen, like even like."
Which,
Phlox
by
is
the
like,
way, totally correct.
yeah, and Phlox is like, "Come on, we got it.
They've done it before. They went on the asteroid in what, season 1?
Yeah.
They went on that asteroid.
She is totally correct, but who wants to listen? Anyway, we get here.
Look, Dave, even Sam got it. Sam got it. You didn't. All right. Anyway,
Degra and
gotta have a sex joke in there somewhere.
Right. Well, there's a scene here with the Zindis, and they was like, "We can't find Greylick. He's out having a walk," and they're like, "You're early," and so they're kind of explaining to us why they're not looking for him here. Very cash, whereas the reptilian's very.
Here's a hole in the plot. I felt is that the guy's walking around, Degra and reptilian guy have shown up, and they don't sense that they can't find the Enterprise, which is floating around.
Yeah, it's behind the moon. It's
behind the moon, Adam.
Who can see it?
That's a play-by-play of Starfleet right there.
Where is that? I got a shot of that.
How many times has that been done?
Oh,
millions
times
at this time.
Shit.
Yeah. I don't think we need to go back to see it, Dave.
It's okay. And then this scene where they're out in the woods and the drone sees Malcolm, and Malcolm just can't hit it, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, but Archer can. Archer never misses on the first one, but Reed usually needs a couple shots.
Reed is the worst security person ever. He makes Worf look amazing.
And one of these drones gets away, but still they're like, I guess there's no humans on the planet.
Well, one of them got shot down. No big deal.
Yeah, and the Mako.
Well, we don't know. Maybe the deer in this forest are armed. Like we don't.
No. They gave an excuse of some kind of like inhibiting mineral or something, right?
No,
that was later. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, he says that he was hunting and the thing was annoying him, so he shot it down.
Yeah, but the other one got away with all its data.
Yeah, but it probably didn't get a good look at them.
The other one didn't see Reed. It's fine.
Sure. It's only a computer. Like
that's fine.
So anyway, here's the test with the Zindi gun. We come back. They're gonna fire it. Oh, but it's.
I love how this shows up, and he's like, I think it's a countdown.
I think it's a bomb. It's gonna blow up, and they're like,
But imagine if that happened in almost every other Star Trek series, because that does happen, and a lot of times they're like, what is this thing? Yeah. Like he instantly went to that's a countdown, and that's bad.
Yeah. It's gonna go around that triangle, and then it's gonna get to boom.
It goes to the boom icon in the middle. I think we're good. It's time to go.
Yeah. So Trip goes through a run through here. He's running with his boots, and then he knocks this guy straight down.
Oh, that was great.
He cold cocks him too. He's just like, I'm done. I don't care.
He doesn't try to go around him or anything. I think he
just goes right into him.
I think he's like, you get out of the hall. This is how it goes. He puts it down.
So again, I'm getting annoyed by the transporter or use or lack of use of these. Can they not do site to site? Do they have to go to the transporter room?
I think so.
They can.
I think they do.
They have to use it.
Yeah, this transporter is not as advanced.
I think they can only transport with the pad.
But this was smart thinking. Like, good thing that Trip was so fast on his feet here in those.
And also, it would appear that the transporter room is not always manned.
No. Why would they do
It's
that?
never manned.
But normally, when this would happen
I'm surprised he didn't call Mayweather to rip apart the console before he did this.
Yeah, like in Next Gen or whatever. You know when you try to beam something that's about to blow up, it usually like blows up inside the transporter and like destroys the transporter. But that doesn't happen here. It just kind of like.
Well, he got it off quickly.
He got it off just in the nick of time here, and
or they put a force field around. You know,
the Zindi don't detect this either. By the way,
Right.
here's the
It's
Enterprise.
still on the back of the moon.
It's backside of the moon. Who knows what's going on that side?
Dude, when you're on the dark side of the moon, nothing escapes. It's fine.
It's a perfect hiding spot. So yeah, and then there's a show. And Trip's just like, yeah, you were right. I shouldn't.
Maybe I should have did it on that.
Maybe I shouldn't have done that or whatever.
You were right. We probably should have found a nice empty asteroid to test it on.
Oh
well. Dark side of the moon.
Yeah, but every time they go to an asteroid, it's a big pain in the ass. Someone almost dies. They almost lose their ship. They have to like shoot it
down.
That wasn't an asteroid, Kevin.
Close enough.
It was a sphere. We're good.
Yeah.
Asteroids don't have the same type of gravity. Dog.
Well, whatever. It depends on the size of the asteroid.
True.
Yeah. What's going on here in this part? Is this where they're hiding in the woods? Yeah, they're hiding in the woods in the caves. He's like, yeah, they'll never detect us with this yellow stuff on the caves. This is a perfect hiding spot for the droids.
When the walls fell.
Shaka, when the walls fell.
Comfortable with those belts on.
Yeah, how does he even sit?
I find it
like, how do you sit with those belts on?
I don't know. Like the whole Zindi arboreal look here is a little bit strange with these like kind of Mossican looking
Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius.
Like it's like a Dr. Zaius, yeah. No, Dr. Zaius. Anyway, so it's
I think the makeup's great though. I think they did a good job.
This whole scene in the cave, the point of it is like, will you trust me to work with you? Can we bridge this gap and stop this?
And this is where he mentions that stuff shields them from the scanners.
Yeah.
So this cave has it.
It's really about building this relationship between these two in this particular episode, right? So finding trust, and like he's like, okay, go with Major Hayes, go with him. He's like, no, like it will be much better if I just go back by myself.
Well, he's totally right. If he goes back there and they're there and like Hayes is with them, like clearly the game is up, whereas
right.
If he
he's
goes
just
by
saying
himself,
like,
it makes sense.
I need you to trust me about 10 seconds earlier than you were about to. So that's all. And like, he's like, I'll see you later, So he goes off and like, and Reed doesn't like, he's like, we shouldn't let him go. Major Hayes
Reed's like, I'm covering this tree, guys.
We should, but they're
if
both
this tree does anything, I'm gonna shoot it.
They're both skeptical. They're both feeling like we're in a war with the Zindi. We can't trust them. This is too big of a risk.
Why does Reed's coat look different?
Every time that he says permission to speak freely, sir, I would just say no.
No,
you don't have any permission.
You have no permission. Permission denied.
I did love when right here where Archer turns to him and goes, "Oh, are you speaking freely as well?"
Yeah. You're like, no, sir. No.
This is one of the only episodes where I actually liked Archer.
Oh, that was so good. That was
he's got some pretty good lines in this episode for sure.
Yeah. They get Hoshi and T'Pol working on something. What was that?
Well, they need something to do.
They needed something to do.
They're probably looking for Mayweather.
I think they were going to put the tracking device in the chemo site thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I like the use of the CGI in this episode, like some of the wide shots where we see like the facilities and the city here. It looks really good. There's mountains in the background. It's one of the better uses that they've had in the show.
It gets better from season to season. Yeah.
Yeah, like even
some of the CG stuff in the first season was pretty.
Even the stuff when they were looking at like Archer running with the binoculars, it wasn't that bad. If you look at his legs too closely, it is, but otherwise, it was pretty good. So this is where Greylock first comes back, and he does like he's looking like he's going through the plan. He's not telling them about Archer. He's not telling them about the Enterprise being in orbit. He starts working on sabotaging the chemosite. He beams over this chemosite that they're going to plant on the ship. That's also their plan. They won't need to follow this shipment back to wherever it's going so they can find the weapon. That is the other part of this plan. The Xindi reptilian here, he grills Greylick. He's like, where were you? We couldn't find you. My drones were all destroyed. What's going on? He was like,
Well, you shouldn't. When I'm off, I'm off. Like, don't bother me.
Yeah.
Well, and he says to him, he's like, "You're here 3 days early. Piss off." Basically, is what he said. I was hunting.
And this seems to they're like, well, he is an arboreal, and this is kind of how they would act. So like, it doesn't seem out of character at all. What he says, his story seems very plausible, and they've been buying from this guy for a long time, so they have a relatively.
Well, I think the whole point here is that they need this relationship, right?
You know what? Also,
Because they need this Kirasite.
That's true. Yeah, and he also he also really acts with integrity. I mean, my product I'm proud of it. I don't want you walking away with anything that's not going to be good.
I can't do 100 kilograms again very fast. I have other customers. Is basically what he says. Yeah. He does the like middle management routine with them. Basically, he's just like, well, you can try to fuck me over, but that's fine. I got other people to deal with.
You're not my only client.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Degra's like, yeah, let's be chill. He's the voice of reason, whereas the reptilian, we see the reptilians are always aggressive and paranoid.
I want to know if Degra breathes out of his cheekbones.
I was wondering that myself tonight. Actually.
Well, all the Xindi have these little.
They all have them, yeah.
But
they also have noses, so I don't get it. I guess maybe it's like a gill thing.
It might just be like just one of those weird alien symbol thing, like structure things that don't really mean anything. You know how like there's.
I wonder if they're allowed to use Q-tips in them.
Yeah, what is like the Bajoran like little spinal nose things really do for them? It does. But it's just what makes them distinct, I guess, from humans.
Yeah.
Especially with somebody like Degra. How do you make? Because he has to look kind of human, but also alien, right? Yeah. But they wanted all these Xindi to sort of be connected, so they all gave him the weird cheek.
I think they did a good job.
Yeah. So
I believe they're all from the same area.
Yeah. So planet. Yeah. And so here we got Archer. He's running through, guys. This is action Archer. You see like that Hayes and Reed are looking at him through the binoculars.
Well, but he pauses perfectly to give
he pauses and poses. He's like, this is how Captain does it. Watch. Are you guys taking notes? Here we go. And they're like, oh, we're watching.
James Porto.
Yeah, he's like, you watch it here. You know, you could Bakula was having a little bit more fun, I think, this season too.
Yeah, yes. I think this was a job for the major, not the captain.
Yeah, right. But here we see here.
Yeah, but it's the whole Archer being like, I gotta do good.
Yeah. He's the hero. He has to be the hero.
He's the guy. Yeah.
Right. So whereas like Picard didn't have to be the action hero, although they did do that at times with him in like First Contact or whatever. But I think in general, like they
Starship Mine. I love that one.
Yeah, there was more like they would divide up those kinds of roles. Even Riker would be have more of that kind of come in and shoot up.
I liked Picard as actually like a rogue warrior though, because he was kind of frail. Which made it interesting.
Picard did have his moments and everything, but it wasn't
still one of my favorite episodes. Is that?
But like in original series, like Kirk has to be the guy, right? Like and there's a bit more back. It's back to that a bit here with Archer. Archer has to be the guy.
I like how T'Pol's pretty much useless in this episode. Like,
yeah, but
doesn't do anything.
T'Pol's not stupid. She knows, like Archer's going to get killed eventually. I'm gonna take over. Everything's
gonna be a great gig for her.
Well, ironically, she's kind of the captain in the next episode, so I guess that makes sense.
Is she? Okay.
Yeah, kind of.
So yeah, we hear Archer. He gets into the ship. Greylick's with the Xindi and Degra, the reptilian and Degra. They're looking at him up here. They're giving Archer this is like Mission Impossible, guys. This is like secret agent stuff. Why didn't they just
beam it back in there?
I'm telling you, Jody, they don't know how to work a transporter.
They can't work it. They're breaking it in. He's putting the chemosite in, and then like Greylick has to keep Degra and the Xindi reptilian like distracted here. Where Archer is clearly coming down on this ship.
That is a major like way out. Like that is like a huge platform that has to come down.
It's probably making noise, and then and Greylick's like, "No, look at me. I'm going to talk about chemosite or whatever." Or tell me about they're like, well, there's some evil aliens that aren't to be messed with, and like, or they're
Yeah, this
coming.
affects us all. That was sort of a surprising. I thought he would. Who was that? Digra. Digra goes,
Digra.
this affects us all.
Yeah, he tells them, and I was like, well, wouldn't this put some doubt maybe in Greylick's mind? Is he on the right side here? Is helping Archer the right thing from his point of view? He's taking Archer at his word that 7 million people.
Well, yeah, but I think this conversation confirmed what Archer said to him.
Well,
because the whole point was he's like, well, what do you use this stuff for?
Right.
And they're like, oh, we're getting rid of like an evil alien race that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So
they say
he does have doubts. He says so later on in the episode.
Yeah.
He says, I'm wondering if I just betrayed my entire race.
Right. Yeah. That is a bit of a moral quandary, like if you were,
but that's what makes the last sentence of the episode so much more powerful, right?
Right.
He's like, not all of us are bad. Like,
there's Mayweather. I didn't think he was in this episode. There.
He has no words. He says nothing.
No, he says he said he speaks here.
Yeah, he does speak there.
Okay, but it's like it's so little. It's like
it's nothing. Yeah,
Captain Archer's ready, even though that should be Hoshi's line. She's the communications officer.
He's basically season 1 O'Brien.
But she
once in a while he has like 2 sentences.
Hoshi runs the comms, not Mayweather. So it's like
Hoshi's at comms.
I know.
He's right there.
I'm saying the line that they give Mayweather, it should even be Hoshi's line, but they give it to Mayweather just so they can, I think, spread it around here a bit. But anyway, so
the Screen Actors Guild probably makes them do it.
Well, I just think it's always my complaint is that I think Mayweather and Hoshi and even Phlox are underused characters on the show. But
Phlox is becoming better used in this season.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
They're sprinkling him in more in this episode. That he was used enough.
Actually, he's a lot in season 4.
Yeah,
because of some of the stuff that happens in season 4. So,
but guys, we come here to the end of the episode here, where Greylick and Archer, they have a drink together and they kind of celebrate their friendship and that they're going to work together and that they're going to try to reverse some of this damage. Greylick is, he's horrified by what's happened with the chemosite that he created or refined or whatever, and so he's here. He's like, I hope you'll understand that not all Xindi are the bad guys or not all your enemies.
Yeah.
And Archer leaves and the Enterprise leaves,
which I thought was a great way to end it. I also liked how when they left it a straight line with the Dark Moon, so that way they wouldn't be seen when they leave either.
They're still camouflaged as long as they're.
That's right. They got to be behind.
No one can see around this moon, guys.
Nope.
It's like it's impossible,
especially with those red and blue accents on the ship. But
hey, Adam, what was fun and factual about this episode?
Oh, there's some couple things here. So first of all, I don't know if you guys caught it, but it was memory of Jerry Fleck.
In memory of Jerry Fleck, where I didn't notice that.
I didn't see that. No.
Yeah, he was a assistant director and actor. He did First Contact, Insurrection. He was in it. Did Edward Scissorhands. So he's been involved with Star Trek significantly over time. Good to see that.
Was that at the end?
I think so, because it wasn't at the beginning. I know that. All right, so chemosite is the key ingredient used in the Xindi weapon. It is also used in the substance in the hold of Quark's ship in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Little Green Men, that caused the ship to travel back in time to the 1950s.
Yep.
As of this episode,
everything.
It's very handy, apparently.
He does say it has many uses.
Mm-hmm. As of this episode, the Enterprise has been in the Expanse now for 3 months, and they still haven't put the Trillium D on the hull, by the way, which, again, is annoying to me.
Next Tuesday.
Yes. Okay.
With those space cannons.
John Cothran makes his third outing in the Star Trek franchise, this time as Gralik Jur. Fans will recognize his distinctive voice from Captain Nunick in Star Trek The Next Generation, The Chase.
There we go. Okay.
Which one was that? Where he challenged Commander Data in 10 Forward.
Yeah, he was like the guy who wanted the arm wrestling.
Key. Yeah, the Hat Code challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, he also played a mirror Klingon in one, he was a different Klingon in that.
He later appeared once again as a Klingon warrior called Teluk in Deep Space Nine crossover in '94.
Yeah. But he was also this guy in Star Trek Borg, this video game where he played this really dickish doctor who like gets you assimilated by the Borg in a lot of scenarios. Anyway.
Okay, this is the only episode of Star Trek Enterprise wherein the opening recap starts with a narration previously on Star Trek Enterprise. All the episode with recap started previously on Enterprise. Sans Star Trek title, so even in future episodes. So this is the first and only time they said Star Trek Enterprise. Wow, that's not too fun, is it?
Depends on who you are, I guess.
I thought it was fun.
Major Hayes previously played, so Stephen Cole played Commander Martin Madden in Jean-Luc Picard's first officer and Nemesis. But his scenes were deleted from the final film. Wow.
That's because there was too much awesome in Nemesis. They had to cut some.
I didn't like that scene. I'm glad they deleted that scene. I don't want a new first officer.
Well, that's because Will is too busy banging Troy.
Well, Data or Jody or Worf can do it, or no, Data was dead. But you know what I mean. Like,
stick B4 in there.
So just like last week, the guy who played, I guess you call him Quasimodo or the Beast, Jonathan Cawthron again goes on to appear on an episode of NCS New Orleans with Scott Bakula. So he's got a whole raft of people going with him after this.
Bakula's everywhere. He'll find you.
He's like Slender Man.
Did you see when Bakula was on What We Do in the Shadows? And they were like, "You're not related to Dracula?" And he's like, "No, I'm Scott Bakula." You know, they're like, this is terrible." You know, it's just like...
I've never seen that, but it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
In Act 1, the opening flyby reveals that the open hole damaged the Enterprise's dorsal saucer section. In Act 2 of Exile, it has been repaired. However, there's no star log of the character dialogue to explain where this was done.
It couldn't be done. They didn't get to Jupiter Station, so they must have.
Mayweather fixed it. That's where he's been.
Tony Stark made this with some scraps in a cave or something. That's what
the chemicide with the modified with the modified signature was detected 6 months later in Proving Ground. So that's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's about it. I will say, just doing a bit of reading during our time here together tonight, this was an episode that was actually pretty popular and considered to be the best one of the season so far.
Well, Davan has been very high on this episode. He was saying, wait till you get to the shipment, right? And so let's see if it was worth what we were waiting for, guys. Here, let's do ratings.
Okay. I'll go first tonight if you don't mind, because
all yours.
For me, it was I think the captain that Archer should be, and realizing that, you know, not everybody is evil and in the Xindi, and sort of recognizing that finally, because he's just been so angry and so let's kill them all, and I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to give you a number.
Yeah. I'm
going to give you an 8.
Help.
I'm going to give you an 8 tonight.
An 8. Okay. Jody, you've already given this a 7.5. I see.
Yeah, I put it in just in case I couldn't make it on time.
Okay. You sticking by that?
Let me think about it a little longer. I'm kind of contemplating whether I want to go a little bit higher, but
okay. I think this was perfectly good. And I would say I think that gives it an 8 in my book. It's like, you know, they did a good job with it. So, Kevin?
I would also give this an 8. Slightly better than last week.
I don't know if Davan has given us a rating or not, but
he likes it.
Sam says it's a 7.
Sam says it's a 7. Okay. And so IMDb says
he
it's a 7.
He came up 8.5 now.
We've raised him up. Well, we're saying 7.9, guys, here among the four of us.
I'm going to change mine.
Okay.
You know what? I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to get an 8.5.
Wow.
You've got a whole point up.
Yeah, because I think I was a little bit harder on the beginning of the episode, but I'm okay.
Sam wants to know, what is the highest rated of the season and the series as a whole? This season so far, it is the Xindi episode 1. No, well, now it's this one. It's
this one. Yeah.
Now this one is now
unless Davan brings it down,
which I don't think he will.
I doubt.
This will likely be a 9 from Davan. So
And
yeah,
then
I
last season, I think, was The Expanse. Oh no, actually, Stigma.
Judgment had a 9.2 from us.
Stigma's got a
Stigma has a
9.6.
9.6. That might be the highest we have so far. Is 9.6.
I want to see what
We have a 9.5 from Dear Doctor.
Wow, that was a great episode.
Yeah, so yeah, we've had some great episodes, but I guess that 9.6 on Stigma.
The thing to take away from all this is that Kevin rates it way higher than we thought he would.
Right, he gave
I'm
that one a 10.
enjoying this a lot more than I thought I would.
Excellent.
Especially after that season 1. Like, geez.
Season 1's a bit rough.
So far, Kevin has liked season 3 more than any of us.
Excellent.
Yep.
So
I think I honestly think it's because I've never seen it.
You like
so
season 1 the best.
I'm not waiting for my favorites.
Dave and Adam.
I've only seen some of it. I've only seen some of this before.
Dave and Adam like season 1 better than
I never watched
else.
this episode.
Season
before.
2, Adam and Dave liked it. Oh no, sorry, Davan was the one that went highest on that one. And then so far this season, yeah, it's just Kevin, right? Yeah, Kevin's the highest right now.
Kevin's the highest, but not by much. Like, we're all relatively close. And even like, we're all within a couple decimals of each other here. So there's not a huge swing, but it's Davin's been low on this season because he's really hated a few episodes. So
yeah.
I think he's more guilty of what you're saying, like the Deep Space Nine syndrome, when we have like a boring episode in between some really great episodes.
I find Davan is very one side or the other.
He tends to love things and hate things more than
he's an extreme guy.
He loves what he loves and he hates what he hates.
Exactly.
And so yes, guys, that's the Shipment. But what comes after the Shipment? What were you alluding to, Jody?
Twilight is the next one. Definitely not my favorite episode, but has some interesting things. The effect of the Delphic Expanse anomaly leaves Archer unable to form any new long-term memories. 12 years later, he wakes up one morning and is stunned to learn that the outcome of the human-Xindi conflict, including the loss of Earth and a near annihilation of the human race.
Is this like a time travel episode?
It is and it isn't. I don't want to give it all away, but
okay. Interesting.
But for instance, he wakes up at the beginning and T'Pol is the captain of the ship and he's been confined to quarters.
Okay.
Like that's how it starts.
So that's kind of like that Riker episode. Like
it's very much like the Riker episode, but they're not reusing every scene.
Future Imperfect. That's the one.
Future so everybody's got to look for the water polo ball in his cabin now. Make sure
it's there.
Yeah.
I can confirm it's definitely there.
It's better be embedded in that wall.
I already watched part of this episode today.
In the wall, though, Jody? Is it in the wall?
No, it's not in the wall anymar.
Ah, damn it.
That would have been great.
We should have just left it there forever and said, that's a souvenir from our Delphic Expanse days.
Well, I think that would eventually cause integrity issues on that wall. So,
no, he's like,
if it's an interior wall, who cares?
When is Sam wants to know when is the Riker episode? That would be the last episode of the series. Yeah. Or as I like to
which
call
I
it,
will be giving a low rating for.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to rank good.
I hate that episode so much because it
bad.
ruins the Next Generation episode it's supposed to be riffing on. So
yes,
if you want to believe that those things are happening at the same time that the episode The Pegasus is happening, you're just like, this would make the Pegasus a much worse episode. So
I watched Sub Rosa, by the way.
Classic, great Star Trek episode.
Adam, I'm going to lose a lot of respect for you depending on what you say.
How can you say these things?
Jody, I didn't like it.
Excellent.
Yeah,
good.
It was as bad as
I'm glad some people have taste.
Yeah, Dave and I.
Kevin and Dave.
I love it. I love it even more than I used to. Like
Dave just wants to have sex with candles.
Sometimes you start.
And I don't even know what's wrong with Kevin other than possibly drinking too much.
So I've been with Callie now for 30 odd years, right? And
have you ever had sex with a candle, Adam?
No, I have not.
You know why?
But hold on a second here. I'm going to tell you something. So she remembers me talking about this episode when it was on, that I loved it.
Okay.
And I said, I don't even remember this episode. Yes. Yeah.
Well, so I trust with Callie's memory here, and I think
apparently
right.
she's got better memory than I do. But
you're like, do not light that candle; you'll ruin your family forever.
I did like Gates McFadden facial expressions through the episode, but that
She
was
sells it. That was some acting.
You know what? If you're gonna sell sex with candles and ghosts, then I guess she did a good
Duncan
job.
Regeer, Shakar. He's Ronan.
It is one of the worst episodes of Star Trek ever. I don't know what.
It's
guys
not
are
even
on.
close to one of the worst.
Oh, it is definitely close to the worst. You know what?
It-
Hold on. I'm gonna look this up. You guys just talk about yourself.
I think there's lots of people like yourself, Jody, who dislike it a lot, but
Oh,
it
I'm
doesn't make
sure.
it bad.
I just want to know how bad it is on a rating. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure there's like.
I
top
think
10
it's a
worst.
polarizing episode. We'll agree on that.
It's got to be a 10 on IMDb for sure, right? It's free.
yeah. This is high class, highbrow stuff, really. So,
Well, I know it's going to be on there. I just don't know where it's going to rank.
Season
That's all.
7, Sam. Go and look at season 7. It's near the end, I think, actually.
But you know, the only redeeming thing was Gates McFadden's acting. I will say that she was pretty good.
Yeah, like Patrick
Okay,
Stewart shows
according
up
to
at the end, and he's pretty
IMDb, it is the third worst Star Trek episode.
good. IMDb. Who? What are
And
they
the only
now?
two that go ahead of that are The Way of Eden. I would agree. And actually, it's Star Trek and The Children Shall Lead, which is also an absolutely terrible
That's a
episode.
great episode. These are all.
Oh, these are.
Get out of
Oh.
here. There are
This
so
is
many.
all Star Trek. All Star
This
Trek.
is all of Star Trek.
That's where, like,
Code
the
of Honor.
children are
Code
like,
of
oh,
Honor
no.
comes up better than that episode.
But that's
Code
not.
of
That's
Honor.
objectively false. That's objectively.
Code of Honor
false.
is a garbage episode.
Oh my
Shades
god!
of Grey, also a garbage episode.
Yes, way worse than Sub
Voyager:
Rosa.
The Fight, also a garbage episode. I agree. Voyager Threshold, I don't even remember it, but
Sorry, that's where they get turned into salamanders.
oh yeah, garbage, total garbage.
Yeah.
And Deep Space Nine, Let He Who Is Without Sin, which is a pretty crappy episode.
No,
and
like,
then
you-
Enterprise, These Are the Voyages, which is the last.
No,
episode
you're
of the
missing
series.
some. You're missing some important ones here, like Resurrection, the one where Mirror Bareil shows up on Deep Space Nine. This is a really bad.
That's a pretty
episode.
bad episode too. Yeah.
This is like we have never rated an
Or
episode so
the
low.
Muse.
The Muse, or the one we just did, the
Angel
wrong,
One from Next Generation. That
Wrong's
was a
Darker
terrible
Than Death
episode.
or Night. We just did that in the most recent Deep Space Nine one. We gave it a
Oh,
collective 1 out of 10.
A 1
We-
out of
we-
10.
we
I
hate
think
it. We
you guys
hated
are
it.
being great. Yeah, you know,
It's probably
pretty
kind
good.
of fun podcast, Dave. One night, just everybody bring their worst episode and talk about it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Actually, yeah, that's gonna be a whole one-off. We should totally do that. Okay, so I think we can wrap up here for this Enterprise. We'll be back to talk about Twilight next time, and then Deep Space Nine tomorrow. We had to push it last week. We got put on here, but tomorrow we'll be talking about the episode Inquisition.
Our official designation is Section 31.
Who, you know, you
I like
might
that
know.
episode.
Yeah, great guy. The guy who plays Sloan is amazing. He's from
Colonel Stewart.
Colonel. He's from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Yeah.
Well, he was Colonel Stewart, Die Hard too.
Little street
Yep.
sweeper.
Sorry.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I like him.
I
He
I
always
pulled this-
plays the prick, but it's fun.
But he was the Grim
He
Reaper
was the
in
Grim
Bill and Ted.
Reaper.
Yeah.
that's
Grim
I
Reaper
love
in two Bill and Ted movies. Actually.
You might be a king or a little street sweeper, but sooner or later you dance with the
With the
reaper.
So we're
I
talking
love
about that
that
one.
guy.
And then Thursday, we're going to be talking about Star Trek Picard, season 2 of episode 3. Episode 2 of season
Season
3.
3, episode 2.
Correct. It's going to be called Disengage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm
I'm trying not to get excited because I was excited at the beginning of season 2 as well.
I just watched Steve Shive's review of the first episode, and I was just
I couldn't get through it. I
Yeah,
tried watching it. I'm just like, oh god.
Yeah, well, they were more negative on it for sure because they're more turned off by the pandering, the fan service. Like, look at this Easter egg. Look at this. Look at this.
This is
Like,
their final goodbye. Like, they
Isn't that
gotta
what, like a
pander.
lot of what Michael Chan said too? It sounds like.
Why do
Yeah.
people get so upset with fan service? I'm a fan. I'd like to be serviced.
please serve me and tell me a good story while you're doing it. I think is also would be
and then
would be
buy
good.
him dinner.
Yeah. So we'll be on Thursday to talk about that Star Trek Picard. Of course, we have our science division, like with Davan doing the trivias and debates, and the
Anybody else have a
probes.
problem with Davan being part of the science division?
he's a horticulturalist, you know, a mycologist, a Renaissance man. Anyway, so check out all of the great ones. Locutors of Trek coming out, and then our operations division, Star Trek Radio Theater, the video games, all kinds of great Star Trek content here on Live Long and Podcast. We of course have the United Federation of Podcasts, and we'll be on with Super Mater Brothers podcasting this Wednesday. We're doing our Survivor season 44 cast preview and draft results, where we're gonna go through all the different teams that were drafted, like Jaemeel's team and my team, Kevin's team. Yes, starting on the show is actually starting.
I hate Davan.
Jody just hates Davan. I don't know. I don't know if that. I hope that's.
Oh, I hate him hardcore. I only do every podcast he asks.
Here's a theory. Here's a theory. Jody hates Davan. So
he did. He did ask me though. What was it? Is Sub Rosa worse than Assignment Earth? Yes.
That's a tough choice.
I agree. It is.
No way.
Yeah,
no,
it is,
you.
for sure.
I agree. Assignment Earth is not a good.
No,
episode.
Assignment Earth is more enjoyable to watch than Sub Rosa.
No, they're both great. They're just both great.
I love Assignment Earth. I can't say much, more about that. I love it. It's great.
Assignment Earth is definitely better than Sub Rosa.
Also on the Super Mater Brothers podcasting, we just did our review
They're
of
brothers.
and the Wasp, Quantum Mania. Jaemeel and Davan and I were on. I think we talked for a little over an hour talking about that movie. I know that's not Marvel's not your jam, Jody, but we have been covering that on Super Mater Brothers podcasting.
According to the people, isn't theirs either, because they fell 45 million short.
Well, maybe I don't know. If you're paying attention to the numbers, I'm more just talking about the story and do I like the movie. But of course, X-Rated is another Marvel thing we do here on the United Federation podcast, the X-Men the Anime Review Show with Davan and Andre on Tuesdays, going through all of those episodes. And then of course they also have the Graphics History podcast. That's Andre's interview podcast, which I believe Michael Chan was just on there doing an interview with Andre, and the Hellbound podcast with Alex Blackburn and Michael Chan Wednesdays. It's a horror themed podcast. And we also have Trivial Debates. Most recently, we had Jaemeel hosting with myself and Jeff and Foster competing. We will be having Eamon Mater host this end of February episode with Jody and Jessica and Davan competing in a loved themed episode.
I feel bad if I have to beat Jessica though.
Well,
she's such a nice lady.
Yeah, well,
she can handle herself.
She can handle herself.
Oh, I bet she can. She can put up with Michael. She can put up with anything. But
and last two, of course, we got Hold Up of the movie podcast with Davan Murphy every second Wednesday. I believe they're coming up this week. They do have an episode coming up this week, and and then KBBBL Simpsons podcast on Fridays with Davan and Baker. And
they just said Krusty gets framed or something, didn't they?
They're going to be doing that one. Yeah, I was on actually doing the Crepes of Wrath fairly recently with them.
That's one where Bart gets the exchange student thing.
Yeah. I was on there with Eamon actually too. We did it together. So. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it. I think we can end this transmission tonight. We hope you enjoyed it. And let's go out on here on a quote.
It better not be from Sub Rosa or I quit this podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a good one. I like this one. We'll see you next time.
Damn thing, spooky.